Life has a way of forcing you to pivot. Sometimes it's grief, sometimes it's sudden job loss, and sometimes it's burnout or a season where everything you thought was certain suddenly shifts. And in those moments, the temptation is to shrink inward to try to carry it all yourself. I've been there, I've done that, and I can tell you it's a heavy road. But what if the real breakthrough isn't found in doing it all on your own, but in letting community carry you, lift you, and remind you that we don't have to do this by ourselves? That's what we're unpacking today. Welcome back to Mindset, Health, and Empowerment, the Unfiltered Trainer podcast with your host, Gina, aka Gina Marie Fit. And today we're diving into episode 76, The Power of Community, Why You Can't Heal, Grow, or Thrive Alone. Y'all, your girl has been going through it. If you follow me on social media or you listen to episode 75, you know that I am experiencing sudden job loss again. This is now my second time living in Tampa and dealing with this. And even though I feel like I have maintained composure quite well, I went through a period of a few days after the shock wore off, where after I finished either teaching classes or seeing patients, just literally laying in my bed, curled up in a ball, unable to function because your girl here loves a plan. She loves being busy. And I actually didn't know what was next. And that is terrifying for me. So if you're a new listener, I sustained a traumatic brain injury a little over 2 years ago now. And one of the most important things for me to thrive with a TBI is to have a routine. So when all of this started to go down and everything started playing out, I truly freaked out because I knew that I would have a lot of time on my hands. Financial stability became a question, and I really had to think to myself, why is all of this happening again? And maybe is it time to leave Tampa? So I really sat with myself and I started thinking about the last few years, the things that I've built outside of being a healthcare worker and a personal trainer. I've had my own company, Gina Marie Fit, for 12 years now, doing online health and personal training for women that want more than macros and workouts. This year, I had launched my book, The Badass Blueprint, and literally coming up on 2 years this December, I launched this podcast. And so I was really thinking about when I incorporate all of that, and then I incorporate the philanthropic part of my life, Sweating Together for a Cause, which is a foundation I created to pair fitness instructors and charities to host these charity wellness collaboration events. Now, literally, oh my gosh, almost 3 years ago, I really sat with myself and I had to tell myself that, one, Gina, it's too expensive to get out of your lease, so we're staying put in Tampa. Two, you are the queen of figuring it out. And it's true. I said in my last episode, one of my friends called me a phoenix because your girl's been through hell. I've been on my tail more times than I care to count, and I always find a way. And so again, here we are. Even though I don't want to be in this position, we are figuring it out. So I'm going to talk to you about why community matters for healing, growth, and thriving. And then we're going to talk about why all of this matters because your girl has decided to pivot and it's time to rise. Healing in isolation keeps you stuck. When you're alone, shame grows louder and the silence gets heavier. But when you are surrounded by the right people in community, your story gets validated. You hear "me too" a lot, and suddenly the weight isn't as crushing. When all of this transpired, I was in literal shock because I don't know why I thought that fitness wouldn't be a field where you would get laid off because your company randomly closes. I've had a lot of friends in the last year get laid off, and I have watched them work so diligently to try to find a new job, and I just didn't see this coming. And so for me, at first, there's this level of shame and embarrassment because this is me. This project was me. These last 2 years, this was me. And I bared my ever loving soul to create this brand and to make this brand evolve in Tampa. But I just didn't see it coming. And so, something that since I have now publicly shared part of what is going on, I want to be respectful to everybody involved. Other people have messaged me. Obviously, our members have just flooded my DMs, my text messages, and one, just sharing their appreciation. And two, other people shared their stories as well and the shame that they were experiencing when they went through it. And it just reminded me that someone else's vulnerability can unlock our own courage to face the pain that we're experiencing. Energy exchange really matters. Your girl is woo-woo, so I do believe in energy, the universe, God, all of the things. Sometimes just being in the presence of people who care changes the entire way you struggle, and it also changes the entire way you carry that struggle. Community also adds accountability for healing. Friends who remind you to take care of yourself, move your body, rest, and not give up are blessings, because there's a lot of people that right now want to hear the tea as if this is TMZ. There's no story to tell. Somebody resigned and we need a buyer. There's literally nothing going on that's exciting. It's just heartbreaking. But hope, when around the right people who genuinely care about you, which is hard to find in Tampa sometimes, it spreads. And watching others rise from similar pain points proves you can too. And so once I released all of my own nonsense and shame and feeling like I was a failure, I knew that this is going to have to be a time to evolve. This is going to have to be a time to grow. And willpower, it's going to fade. But there's this thing that comes from accountability that fuels consistency. Having people to check in with you keeps you moving. We often need to borrow belief from others. When someone else sees greatness in you, you step into it faster. I got the sweetest message from one of our members who now lives in California. And I literally started crying when I read her message because I felt so seen, and I'm literally getting choked up. I literally have freaking chills right now saying this. I was struggling so bad yesterday and I didn't tell anybody, but it really hit me. Like, it hit me hard yesterday, and I was having a really bad GI day. So then it made me panic about not having health insurance. And I went on this crazy loop. And then there came this random text message from this beautiful soul. And it completely shifted my whole outlook on my situation in that moment. And that is what happens. Growth accelerates through shared wisdom. Others' lessons save us time, mistakes, and heartache when we open ourselves up, we're vulnerable, and we let people in. Collaboration also stretches us. Iron sharpens iron, and community challenges you to grow beyond your comfort zone. Something that's really beautiful in all of this is that wins celebrated together are so much more meaningful. Progress sticks when it's witnessed, and it's something that when you are around the right people and there's reciprocated energy, effort, support, care, when you do win and you do find your path or you do figure out what's next, it's going to feel so much better than me doing this quietly behind the scenes because I'm worried about somebody's opinion in this small ass town. Now, thriving. Doesn't feel like you're thriving right now. I'm literally laughing, dark humor type person. I've been telling people, like, if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry, and I don't want to keep crying in class. Thriving isn't about me. It's about we. Fulfillment comes when your success lifts others up. Impact ripples outward. Your growth sparks growth in others, families, friendships, businesses. Purpose-driven living, which is literally the tagline of my website from 12 years ago, still is to this day, is found in community. And this is before I knew anything that I was going to build. Alone, your goals do feel empty. Together, they truly do mean something bigger. Thriving is truly sustainable when rooted in community. Highs become sweeter and lows just become easier to survive. Thriving will build a legacy, and the footprint you leave expands when many people carry it forward. Now, there is a dark side of going alone, and we're going to talk about it because this is the Unfiltered Trainer. Here's the truth. Most of us do try to do it alone first. I know I did. I know I've done it. I know I failed, and I've repeated the same stupid patterns because I love to learn lessons the hard way, apparently. When we isolate ourselves, it deepens our pain and it keeps us stuck longer than necessary. Hustle culture glorifies the quote unquote self-made grind, but it burns people out and leaves them emptier, not stronger. Alone, your perspective narrows. However, challenges feel insurmountable because of it. Without accountability or collaboration, growth will stall. And the biggest lie of all of this is that doing it alone shows how strong you are. Real strength comes when you let people fully in. When I shared about burnout in a previous episode, I talked about how trying to hustle through it alone nearly broke me. I had panic attacks. I literally was unwell, mentally, physically, emotionally. When I shared about grief, also in a previous episode, I opened up about the isolation that almost swallowed me whole 10 years ago. I literally thought that was it for me. Both times, the turning point wasn't me muscling through it. It was the people that literally saved my life. It was my community. There is so much power of community in my story. And I don't think it was until an article was written about what I was doing with Sweating Together for a Cause that I quite understood that I had become a connector. That's why I literally created Sweating Together for a Cause in the first place. I will never forget the first event. If you don't know this, I'll quickly share how this all developed. So a little over 3 years ago now, I moved to downtown Tampa. And this is at the height of when Tampa, which was a hidden gem, 10 years ago when I started coming down here, it started to blow up on social media. People were glamorizing living in Tampa, and I moved downtown to be closer to everything that I wanted to do and also my new job. And so when I moved down here, I remember driving, and I literally am going to get emotional. I remember driving to my apartment, and I had to pass a significant amount of people who were experiencing homelessness, street after street after street. And then when I turned the corner, the next block was this beautiful building that I was moving into. And I just thought to myself, what did you do to deserve this life? And what did they do to deserve theirs? Because I am no better than those people. I come from the world I come from. I know what I've been through. I know what my story is. I'm not anything special. And it just killed me to know that I was going to my quiet, comfortable, dry home. And every single day, I have to pass this street. So I started doing small things. I started carrying a cooler with ice and waters because it was May when I moved. And then I started carrying small bills on me and little packages of snacks and things. And I started to talk to these people. I always have my windows down. And a lot of times I would have very genuine stories. And then the rehab facility I was working at and still do PRN at, we acquire a lot of people from the hospital who have experienced sudden homelessness. And it's a lot of times because of medical bills, job loss, and then it kind of just creates this really terrible domino effect where they lose their home, they lose their car, their backs are turned on them by their family because they've made mistakes. And when I put it all together, one day I was driving home. And at the time, I was still teaching at a studio in Sparkman Wharf, if you're in Tampa. And I said to myself, we've got to do something. You are a transplant, which I know a lot of people don't love in Tampa. I am not that transplant, though, that brought a multi-six-figure salary. Clearly, your girl is about to be partially employed in 3 weeks. But I am somebody that genuinely feels, and I believe in my soul, that when you move somewhere, you should contribute to the community that you move to. You should be a part of the community that you have chosen to move to. And so I came up with this idea. I presented it to Sparkman Wharf because that's where my studio was at the time. And I said, hey, this might sound crazy, but what if we hosted this event? The first one was called Coming Together for a Cause. And I brought together all of the studios. There was 4 of us. in Sparkman Wharf, we all taught mini classes, and then it was for Metropolitan Ministries, which is one of the most fantastic foundations in Tampa. I had got set up with working with them, and I had reached out to them and I told them, I have this idea. I know all the work you're doing. Like, I really want to support you. And Sparkman Wharf was like the best. Like, they had an AV team. They helped me. Metropolitan Ministries came on site. Some of my coworkers volunteered their time to support my event. And I, little kid, like at your birthday party, was so terrified no one was going to come. And people didn't just come. We literally sold more tickets than I had anticipated. And it was at that event, as everything was just going so smoothly, even though it was hot as hell. And Metropolitan Ministries, the ladies that were there, pulled me aside and they said, we don't want you to feel pressure right now, but we need you to take this in. And they had me turn around and look at everybody working out. And at the time, there was like over 120 people working out, not including the people that donated. And they said, you did this. Like, you did this with one idea. And you didn't even know what was possible. And they gave a speech at the end and they said, like, Gina was one person. And she did all of this. She created this entire event. She got everybody together. She got all of the vendors, the giveaways. Like, she did this. She was one person. And they said, what if everybody that attended this event went out and did one thing to help somebody in need? Just how beautiful could we elicit some change in this community? And so when we were having our conversation, they told me that they said, Gina, I hope you understand you're not done now. And I just kind of looked at them like, this is like a one and done event. Like, I just thought we were going to do this and raise some money and it'll be great. And they said, you have something here, but you have the ability to make a big impact. And it's your job. Like, this is for you. You need to do this. And so Sweating Together for a Cause ended up coming about like 6 months later, because every time I hosted one of these charitable wellness events, obviously there was a workout and there was a very amazing community, like whether it was Metropolitan Ministries or The Spring or Merciful, like the organizations we were supporting do the most. But it was also gaining spotlight for the instructors, for the studios, and for the charities. So it started creating volunteers and it started creating more charity opportunities, and we raised more money. And it just kept trickling into this organization. And so it has been my baby up until a few months ago. I was still hosting events as of this spring, which is 2025. And then I had this massive exacerbation of my GI issue, my GI condition, which caused a lot of issues, which made it like impossible for me to work out. And so what I started doing was supporting other people's events that had charitable contributions or gave back to their community in some way, and started utilizing my business as a sponsor. And so what you're going to learn at the end of this episode is that this all was not an accident. So what I really have learned through all of these events and all these incredible partnerships and just this beautiful situation that has developed because of this organization is that I watched people walk in carrying stress, grief, self-doubt, and these people left these events lighter because they weren't carrying it alone. I got to see friendships form. I saw thousands of dollars in donations flow that have fed families, that have supported domestic violence survivors, that have saved animals. I saw people who were shy and didn't know anybody, their faces light up when the community clapped for them, especially for these incredible instructors. I got to see what happens when real impact is made, but not because of me, because of we, this community that is us. And if I'm being honest, it changed me too, because in my heart of hearts, when my grandfather told me when I was growing up that one day my needs would be met, and it would be my job to help other people, I think this is what he meant. Building that kind of community healed parts of me I didn't even know were still raw. It showed me that the very thing I once resisted, leaning on people, was the thing that I needed most, and I was able to provide that for so many other people who also needed it. So let's talk about it. I am launching something called Impact Society. Impact Society is what brought me to do today's podcast, because sweating together for a cause was just truly the beginning. I realized the power of community couldn't just live in one event or one room or one cause. It needed a home. And that's why I'm creating the Impact Society. At the heart of every passion is purpose. And when we lead with purpose, we create impact that lasts. This is more than a fitness movement, an event. This truly is a mission to unite people, empower growth, and build communities that thrive together. Even though Sweating Together for a Cause is the main business name that my little LLC is filed under, Impact Society is going to be the umbrella that is all encompassing. So here's what it looks like. Step 1 is Impact Collective. I created a free community on Facebook, so no one has to pay anything, and it's going to be a community space where connection comes first. So in this online community, what you can expect are ideas and motivation. Fresh ideas, daily inspiration, and motivational content to help you stay consistent, energized, and focus on your goals. I'm going to provide tips to build your own brand, exclusive insights, and actionable tips that are going to grow your personal or your professional brand because your impact extends far beyond your job title. We're going to do weekly free workout drops designed to keep you moving, challenge your body, and help you build strength and confidence that will be easy to implement into your lifestyle. There will be exclusive podcast drops, early access, and reminders for Mindset, Health, and Empowerment, the Unfiltered Trainer podcast. These episodes are meant to fuel your mindset, your health, empower you in your journey, while also gaining access to be an upcoming guest and spotlight you in our Impact Society. Something I also want to do is give exclusive access to events and offerings. So by being a part of the Impact Collective, you'll get first access to local and virtual events, collaborations, and opportunities before anybody else. Also, because your girl is a business owner, I want to do weekly business spotlights, a chance to highlight your business, your passion project, or your side hustle so the community can support and celebrate you without charging you, because I notice a lot of these co-sponsored collaborations, vendors, these things get pricey. So I want to provide a free space. There's going to be other perks as well. Community challenges, giveaways, behind the scenes content, and opportunities to connect with like-minded people who just want more out of life. So if you're looking for a space that you want to be a part of, I highly encourage you to go to the description of this podcast and join the Impact Society group. You'll see that the Facebook page is called Impact Society, and then Impact Collective is going to be that free group that you can join where all the information will be dropped first. Now, the second phase of Impact Society is impact training. One thing I am struggling with right now is my immediate location to downtown Tampa. There is nowhere that is a progressive strength training group fitness studio within like 20-25 minutes because of traffic. There's nothing else located downtown, and losing our studio means that the popular question of where you're going so we can follow you, I just can't answer. So what I'm going to do is honestly expand what I already offer to online clients with multiple different levels. So Impact Training has different tiers. There's Impact Core, which is online training through an app where you'll get access to my private app. You'll track everything from nutrition to workouts to rest, recovery. You'll get personalized monthly nutrition assessments if you choose that option. And then I'm going to do a couple different tiers for like financial reasons where you can have weekly responses or monthly check-ins. And then for those that don't need as much, we'll also have a quarterly reassessment to make sure you're on target to your goals. Now, something I'm also going to do is called Impact Foundation. These are online workouts for those who are already crushing their nutrition, or maybe you have health concerns and you just need programming. You'll still have access to my private app that my clients do, and then we'll do monthly workout upgrades and quarterly reassessments to make sure you're on track. If you're local to Tampa, I am playing around with the idea of Impact Edge. I would like to offer some type of in-person personal training, but as I'm starting to study gyms and figure out where that can be, some of these gyms are charging almost what I make in a week. So trying to find out how to do this is something that's kind of in the works. But if you have access to in a gym, even if it's your apartment gym, I've trained clients, I'm going to create for a small amount of people individualized workout programs based off their equipment, their access, their goals. There will be options for nutrition coaching with this, but this will be specifically only for people that are local to Tampa. And then the icing on the cake for the training portion, Impact Ignite. This is a choose your own path. I did a 3-day a week, 4-day a week, and 5-day a week fitness ebook. And so in that, each guide includes progressive workouts, motivation and mindset tips, basic nutrition guidance, a little lifestyle and recovery. It enables you to take control of your own journey and create lasting results at your own pace, but at a lower ticketed offer. And these only require dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, cables, nothing crazy, because I know a lot of these apartment gyms just don't have a lot of equipment and not everybody feels comfortable going to a big box gym. Now, let's talk about Impact Nation, because at the end of the day, my goal is to make as much of an impact as possible. So I have something called Impact Amplified, which is a dynamic sponsorship program. And this is a program I've designed to elevate your brand while making a powerful impact. So if you're interested in partnering with Impact Nation and Impact Society, we have sponsorship options, which enables you to gain opportunities to engage with our community, participate in our in-person events, and then there will be opportunities to participate in our online events. And then you'll have a platform that can actually amplify your community and your commitment to wellness, empowerment, and philanthropy. There's a second level to this called Impact Ascend, which is actually event planning collaboration. So something I am obsessed with doing and I absolutely love is planning events, even though it's hella stressful and chaotic. So we believe that every event has the power to inspire, empower, and create lasting change. And so if you're somebody looking for event planning services designed to take your vision to new heights, then I am somebody that is looking to do small gatherings to start, customized packages that ensure seamless execution for your event and enable you to gain access to an incredible community. And then there's Impact Alliances. This is a community engagement program and it's free. It is a free initiative that is designed to ignite and impact your community directly through positive change. Each month, I'm going to curate 2 calendars, one for health and fitness events and one for community and charity events, so that we can share and grow our networks and make more of an impact together. So if you're hosting an event, I'd love to amplify it at no cost to you, help inspire and make a meaningful impact together without having to worry about an elevated cost. And of course, my baby, Sweating Together for a Cause, is not going anywhere. As I am working through my health issues, I am also actively on the side planning some upcoming charitable wellness events. So these will be back once we are post-hurricane season and we don't have to worry about canceling events like last year. So in all, I really want to have a multifaceted space. Together, these pillars form something bigger than any single program I could have ever created. It forms a society where connection sparks growth, wellness fuels empowerment, and impact is limitless. So if you've been craving community, if you've been trying to heal, grow, or thrive on your own, I want to invite you to stop doing it alone. Join us. Start with joining the Impact Society through our Impact Collective program, which is our free online group. This is where purpose meets connection and where success is celebrated together. The link is in the show notes. Come be a part of the Impact Society. At the end of the day, we were never intended to do life alone. Healing, growth, thriving, none of it happens in isolation. It happens when we step into community, when we let people in, and when we allow connection to fuel our purpose. That's the heart behind Impact Society, to give you a place where support, growth, and empowerment collide. So if you've been craving connection, this is your invitation. Don't do it alone anymore. And if today's episode spoke to you, the best way you can help me is to keep this message going, is to hit that subscribe button and leave your girl a 5-star review. Your support helps this show reach more people who need to hear it so that they can know that they also don't have to carry it all by themselves. Thanks for being a part of this community, for supporting Sweating Together for a Cause since the beginning, and I will see you inside the Impact Collective, and I'll catch you next week on Mindset, Health, and Empowerment, the Unfiltered Trainer podcast. Bye.